when you do something wrong as a kid, you panic. And, well, you tell a lie.
Right, and then to cover it up, you tell another one.
Exactly. And before you know it, you are totally caught. Not even because of the original rule you broke, but because your elaborate cover-up is just glaringly obvious.
Yeah, the brain just panics. It tries to manufacture credibility, but instead of acting natural to avoid suspicion, it wildly overcompensates.
Which just draws all the attention right to the contradiction. And that overcompensation is exactly what we are dissecting today in this deep dive.
We've got a really fascinating set of reflection notes paired with the historical text of Matthew 26, specifically verses 69 through 75.
Right, so our mission today is unpacking the anatomy of a lie. We're looking directly at the Apostle Peter's famous denial of Jesus.
We really want to see how fear physically shapes our actions. Like, how does that childhood instinct to overcompensate play out when the stakes aren't a timeout, but life and death?
Because to understand those stakes, we really have to look at the environment.
Exactly. So Jesus has just been arrested, and Peter, his closest follower, is sitting outside in the high priest's courtyard.
And that's when he gets recognized, right? First by one servant girl, then another.
Yeah, and eventually by a whole group of bystanders who notice his regional Galilean accent.
Wait, but Peter is the lead disciple. He's the guy who just hours earlier swore he would die for Jesus.
Right.
So when he's suddenly cornered by some random bystanders, why doesn't he just walk away? Why stay and dig a deeper hole by denying he knows him 3 separate times?
Well, fear doesn't just freeze you. It creates this tunnel vision of self-preservation.
So he's just stuck.
Yeah, he is trapped in this psychological limbo between wanting to stay near Jesus and the absolute terror of being associated with a condemned man.
So when he is pressed, the panic just totally overrides his commitment to reality.
Exactly. But the deeper psychological collapse isn't just the fact that he lies. The most fascinating part is the specific mechanism of how he lies.
Especially during that second denial. It kind of reminds me of someone trying to prove they aren't a bank robber by, pulling a ski mask out of their pocket to show how harmless it is.
That is a perfect way to look at it.
The very tool you are using to defend yourself is the exact thing proving your guilt.
It really is, and it comes down to the literal words Peter chooses. When confronted the second time, he doesn't just say no, he swears an oath.
But wait, if I am trying to blend into the background and go unnoticed by a hostile crowd, why start swearing loud oaths?
Right, it seems totally counterintuitive.
Doesn't that just draw a massive spotlight to you?
Normally, yes. But in a state of sheer panic, the human brain realizes its simple lie just isn't working.
So it doubles down.
Exactly. It searches for the heaviest, most authoritative concept it can find to crush the accusation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and the Greek word used for oath here is extremely rare. It only appears about 10 times in the entire New Testament.
Wait, really? Just 10 times?
Yeah. And it is almost exclusively reserved for God's holy, unbreakable covenant of salvation.
So he is taking the most sacred, divine word he knows, a word associated with absolute, transcendent truth, and he's using it to sell a desperate lie.
Precisely. And he pairs that sacred oath with a specific phrase to describe Jesus. He calls him the man.
The man, like just some guy.
Yes. In the original Greek, this is a completely generic expression. It is how you would refer to a random stranger blocking your cart in the market.
That is a massive collision of ideas.
Yeah.
He is using the sacred language of divine truth to casually brush off his closest friend and teacher.
It is absolute linguistic self-destruction. The reflection notes point out that this extreme contradiction is essentially the equivalent of screaming, "I am lying right now, so please pretend not to notice."
That is wild.
Right. He is frantically borrowing divine authority he doesn't actually possess to cover up a very human failing.
And despite all that frantic linguistic gymnastics, the truth wins out anyway, because Jesus had already told Peter this exact denial would happen.
Right. The text shows that reality, God's word, moved forward regardless of Peter's panicked attempts to rewrite it.
Which brings the focus back to you, the listener. What our sources ask us to reflect on today is, where are you choosing human approval over the truth?
Yeah, are there small compromises you are making just to fit in or to avoid discomfort?
Compromises that are actually pulling you away from honesty.
Because at the end of this historical account, a rooster crows. Peter hears it, the panic breaks, and he remembers the truth.
And he weeps bitterly. The illusion completely shatters.
That psychological overcompensation simply cannot hold up forever.
So if our own self-contradictions and panicked cover-ups inevitably expose themselves in the end, it leaves us with a real question.
A tough one.
Yeah. What mental energy are you wasting right now trying to maintain an exhausting lie that you could simply let go of?